So I'm really big on exposure. I'm really big on community. I'm really big on transparency. And I think that there is always something to learn. There is always an opportunity for us to grow and develop and change and evolve into the people that God has called us to be. And a huge part of that happens through osmosis. A huge part of that happens from us learning by being in proximity to people and getting to enjoy their lives. And I think that one of the most beautiful things about this digital age that we live in is that we now don't have to be physically next to somebody to get to experience them and learn from them and evolve as a result of what it is that we learn from their lives. And I think that's the beauty of vlogging. I think that's the beauty of visual diaries and visual storytelling and bringing people into aspects of your day-to-day life, because I think that there is so much to learn and experience. And I'm a huge proponent of making ordinary days extraordinary. So I wanted to bring you guys along on a work travel week with me. You'll learn a little bit about my work in this vlog, but I thought that it would be interesting to kind of sit down, narrate, almost give you guys some additional perspective into what I was feeling and what I was experiencing as I was going through this trip. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Welcome to a week in my life as a tech strategist, a founder and CEO, a daughter and sister and girlfriend and friend and all the things, right? Come and spend a full week with me in my full life as a dynamic and multi-passionate individual. Welcome. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. Welcome to, we have made it to Vegas for CES 2025. Welcome to the world of all things emerging technology. That is the sphere that I work full-time in, and I work in tech strategy, specifically on the kind of go-to-market side. So all things brand, positioning, market making, research, all the things. That is my cup of tea. Welcome if you're new here. My name is Abria. I run a brand called FinStyle that empowers and encourages you to live your life on purpose with purpose. And this is a prime example of that. Never let anyone convince you that you were meant to be just one thing. You are a dynamic human being who is meant to live a dynamic life. And I feel like I'm a use case on that. I work full-time in tech strategy. I also have FinStyle. I'm passionate about art. I'm passionate about my family, my friends, my loved ones. I'm passionate about travel, which is something that I am able to do in my full-time job, as well as my other passion projects. So welcome. Welcome to my life. Welcome to my personal FinStyle. So it is kind of early afternoon Vegas time. I took a flight from Atlanta earlier today, and it was actually about the same time when I left Atlanta that it is here now. So shout out to time zone switches. By the time it's all said and done, we will have had a really, really long day, but it will have been a full and invigorating day. So what we're about to do now is go grab some lunch. I just unpacked lightly. I like to just kind of get things oriented, so when I come back in my room later this evening, I can go ahead, take a shower, wind down. So that's what I just did. About to grab some lunch, and then I have a meeting at 4:30 with my manager and a producer for an event that we are hosting tomorrow. I was meant to have cocktails and dinner tonight, but those just got canceled because it is currently the polar vortex in certain parts of America. So stuff is getting canceled because some of the people that we were supposed to meet with are not here yet. Fingers and toes crossed that they make it, because it is supposed to be an incredible week and they have some incredible insights to share. So I really, 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 really am praying that they are able to make it here safely, and that everybody's family and loved ones are also safe amidst all of the snowstorm. I grew up in Boston, Massachusetts, so I am a snow girl through and through. Cold weather, snowstorms, nor'easters are literally in my DNA, and I understand how much of a nuisance they could be for people. So shout out to everybody dealing with this current snowstorm. But we are in Vegas. Like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and get myself together so that we can head out and get this lunch and then meet up with my manager. Since my evening events got canceled, I'll probably just spend some time browsing around. If I can get a ticket to go see the NVIDIA keynote at 6:30, I will. But if I cannot, then I'll just peek around, see what other activations are going on, and then I'll probably grab an earlier solo dinner, and it will actually be perfect that way. I definitely was looking forward to having dinner and cocktails with my team and some of our clients this evening, but something that I'm sure everybody can resonate with is that you always need recharge time. And also when you're going into spaces like this, whether it's for work or personal or what have you, it's really nice to just have some time to center yourself and to prep for the busyness ahead. So that is probably what I will be doing this evening, taking another look through our run of show and all of our plans for the week. I'll be taking some time to go through some of the content and the work that I need to do while I'm here, because I will be capturing some content for my team and doing some interviews. So I want to just take a second to get myself together and prep for all of that. I also want to make sure that I'm well rested because I'm switching time zones, I'm traveling. Altitude's a little different in Vegas. It's nothing like Colorado, but it's definitely more dry, and that has an impact on your overall well-being. A little TMI, but I am a sinusy girly. She gets congested, so when I come to dry climates like that, that definitely impacts me. So I want to make sure that I'm taking care of myself there, because I need to be speaking a lot and nobody wants to be sniffing the whole time they're talking to somebody. So moral of the story, we'll probably spend some time this evening getting ourselves together so that we can be prepped for all of the work that we have in the early mornings and late evenings that we are going to have over the next couple of days. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so freaking happy to have you here. Let's go. So I landed in Vegas on a Monday afternoon, kind of Monday evening my time, Monday afternoon Vegas's time, and we kind of hit the ground running. I like to take a little bit of time to get myself together and, kind of just make sure that I am ready for the day, make sure that I'm ready for everything that I'm going to experience while I'm there. So that's the first thing that we did, as you guys saw. And then I went straight over to have a meeting with my manager. We were a major player in this particular event, and the next day we had a panel event that was going to kind of set the tone for a research summit that was also occurring. So obviously working in tech fields, STEM fields, anything in STEM, right? A huge part of STEM is research and getting to doing the work that gets us to the point of having these mature assets and these mature products, services, what have you, that correspond to the industry. So there was this research summit that was going on. We got a chance to kind of look at the space. We ran through our slides. We understood what was going to be going on the next day, because we were going to have clients who were participating in this event. So it's really important to just make sure that the process is as streamlined as possible. My manager is absolutely incredible with this and has had a lot of experience from it and with it. So I always enjoy the opportunity to learn from her, to just kind of see how she's approaching kind of tasks and projects like this, and realize where there are areas that I could improve, that I could learn from, or just skills that I might want to pick up that I might need in the future. So that's what we did. We went ahead, we did a walkthrough, we talked to the producers, and it's also just nice when you go to events like this that are massive to kind of get a feel for the spaces that you're going to be in before it's game time, right? So it's kind of like pre-game practice, right? It's kind of like a dress rehearsal. So it's always really nice when we touch down to go and explore the venues, see what's going to be going on day of, so that in that morning, that period when it's go time, you're not kind of scrambling and trying to get your bearings. So that's what we did. We walked through the convention center, just knowing, like, when you get out of your car in the morning, where do you need to go? How do you get to the space that you're supposed to be in? Takes so much off your shoulders. And I think that when you are going through any area of life, specifically in this instance, when you're doing business things or things for your job or your career, I think that there's a lot of noise that's created as a result of like that administrative tasks and kind of the more logistical things that you need to have figured out in order to do the thing that you're actually supposed to be doing. So one of my favorite ways to prepare myself and kind of calm that noise and quiet that noise is to do run-throughs, is to give myself time to just think and
reflect and refine so that when I actually have to do the thing, I am not being consumed by all of these additional anxious thoughts or worries that are just kind of the result of my lack of preparation. And you're never going to be able to prepare for everything. You're not magic. You're not God. You're not perfect. You are going to make mistakes. But the reality is that there are things that we can control, and we should do our best to make things as seamless as possible for ourselves and meet our own specific needs. So for me, doing these walkthroughs, knowing where we're going, is a huge weight lifted off my shoulder, and it gives me time to actually focus on the things that matter, like getting to fully experience the experience and take it in, and also support my team, support the people that I'm there working with, and the folks that are going to be on stage or on a panel or in a meeting or what have you. So that's what we did. We went ahead, we did that walkthrough, and then we had a couple more things to chat through. So we did that. And then I ended up grabbing an early dinner because I was absolutely starving. And I called my best friend. We sat down and we just talked for a while. She's actually pregnant right now with her first baby. So we were just on the phone kikiing, talking about baby stuff, talking about her nursery. She was showing me some rugs, and that was really, really nice and a really good way to decompress and also reground myself in who I am outside of this work, or really not outside of this work, right? But in addition to this work, because we are all going to be many things in this life, and you cannot, nor should you, feel pressured to compartmentalize yourself and restrict the other areas of your life. So it's always really important to me when I'm on these work trips and even in my day-to-day life to make sure that I'm taking time to love on my loved ones and connect with the people that contribute to me living such a full and just beautiful life. After I chatted with my bestie for a little bit, I went back to my room, got myself together for the evening, read my word, and just went ahead and went to sleep early because I knew that I had a really early morning the next morning. I woke up about 5 o'clock. So it was important to me to just be like good, ready, well rested, and also full of the truth, full of my word, full of the Holy Spirit, like fully prepared and equipped, right? It was important to me that I had all my armor on to go out and deal with this day. So I was really intentional about taking that time in the evening to get myself together and get myself ready for the day ahead.
Back in our room, we went and had dinner after our 4 o'clock meeting, and then did a little bit of prep work for tomorrow. Now I just showered and I am rolling my hair up because we need to wake up pretty early tomorrow in order to be at the prep session for our first event by 7:30. So that is the plan. I'm just getting myself together, and yeah, tomorrow we will get to it.
Next morning, we were up bright and early, and I took some time to just kind of tell you all a little bit about my journey, my path, how I got into the role that I'm currently working, but outside of the role that I'm in, because we are all so much more than the jobs and the careers that we work, right? They are a part of what we do, but they are not necessarily who we are. So I really wanted to share a perspective with you all on kind of how I got to where I currently am from a career standpoint and what I've learned about myself along the way, and how important it is for me to have clarity on my purpose and my calling and the reason for which God placed me on this earth, so that I can be really intentional about what it is that I do and how I show up in the world. And my job is no different, right? It's not enough for me to just work a job. It's not enough for me to just do something because I need to be doing something. I need to be doing the right thing. And for me, the right thing is whatever God has called me to at a point in time. Right? Whatever he would have me to be doing at a point in time is the right thing for me to be doing. There are other good things that I could be doing, but it might not be right for me.
morning. It is Tuesday morning and we are getting ready to head out for the day. It will be a pretty long day, so I am just trying to make sure that my makeup is gonna last throughout the entire day. We will be out basically until probably 10 o'clock at the earliest, and it is 6 a.m. right now. So we are just trying to make sure that whatever we put on our face can stay on our face. But I'm just doing pretty light makeup. I'm putting on layers of my light makeup, but I'm not really doing like eyeshadow or anything like that. Fun fact, I'm actually not a big makeup girly. If I had to pick something beauty related, it would definitely be like skincare. Like I would much rather prefer to just have like flawless skin and never have to put makeup on again. I don't have to put makeup on, but you know what I mean. Like if I had to choose like a beat face or a completely bare face, I'm gonna pick a completely bare face every time. If we think about the actual products and like the application and what I enjoy putting on, I enjoy putting on my skincare because it feels like so luxurious and such a treat every time I do it. So we're not putting on too much makeup. I'm just gonna put on some mascara. That's also the other thing, y'all. I think I'm off falsies. I think I'm good off false lashes. Like I'm kind of not into them right now. So I'm just gonna put on a little mascara and then we are gonna go ahead and put our clothes on, and that will be that. So if you're curious about my background, because you might follow FinStyle, you may have worked with me. FinStyle is a combination of finance and lifestyle, really emphasis on the lifestyle with underscoring how financial literacy and understanding your finances can help you to fuel your lifestyle and ultimately finance the life that you are designing. But we focus on lifestyle first, right? What do you actually want? What does it mean for you to live your life on purpose with purpose based on the person that God has called you to be? And then how do we use our finances as a vehicle to fund that life? So that is FinStyle. But obviously I told you at the beginning of this video that I work in emerging technology. And I started my career in finance. I went to Clark Atlanta University. If you've been watching my channel for a long time, you will have known that because I started off blogging my college experience. When I was looking to go to an HBCU, I saw a lot of videos about the HBCU experience socially, but I really wanted to understand like the educational aspect as well. Like I understood it, but I wanted to understand like, what are people doing after school? How are people getting internships? What are these classes like? Like, what does this all entail? It was hot in there. It was hot in here, y'all. I had to open the door and turn on the air. But I started blogging in I started blogging in college. I did actually start blogging in high school, and I was so nervous and so fearful about what people would think or how could it could appear to colleges, or I wasn't doing anything bad or anything, you know, that was incriminating, but I was young and I cared about what people thought. Now I'm getting to the point, I'm not gonna say I'm completely there. I'm a human being, but I am far more concerned with pleasing God than I am with pleasing people. And that is a beautiful space to be in. So this is a year where I'm really embracing fearlessness, not because there is nothing to fear, but because I know that my God is greater and bigger than anything I could possibly fear. And I fear, pun intended, I fear I might just become unstoppable. I fear I'm coming for everything God said he had for me. I fear I'm about to optimize my potential and be the woman that God has always intended for me to be. Because baby, fear will give you that one too, okay? She'll keep you, you could be locked and loaded and unable to pull the trigger simply because you are paralyzed with fear. Like what? what? But no more. No more, no more, no more. So I started vlogging in high school. You know, that's what we're really going to say. I started vlogging in high school. I started posting in college. Maybe that's the Lord trying to hit me up to speak my truth. I started vlogging in high school, but I didn't start posting it until college. And I shared my entire college experience. There are some gaps in there because I did actually graduate during COVID. And I'm going to be honest, it took your girl down. It took your girl down because I worked so hard in college. I really, really did. I've always been a really hard worker, but I think that I really hit my stride in college, and I felt finally like my work was working, and that was largely in part to having teachers and professors and administrators for the first time in my life that I felt like were all fully invested in me. I grew up in Boston, Massachusetts. I went to predominantly white schools my entire life. And that didn't mean that my schools were not diverse. We had a lot of different type of people, but we didn't have a lot of Black people, right? Like I grew up with tons of friends who were a part of different minorities, but they were a part of different races and ethnicities than me. And I loved it because I have such a diverse friend group, and I had so many diverse experiences, and I learned so much about other people and other cultures and other parts of the world, and it shaped me into the person that I am today. And also the fact remains that being in a group of people who you identify with is incredibly powerful. And HBCUs historically just have this nurturing, we as Black people are nurturers because we know what it's like to not be nurtured. We know what it's like to be excluded. We know what it's like to be oppressed. So naturally we don't do that to others, and we don't do that to our own people. So going to an HBCU was the first time that I felt like a educational institution was fully wrapping their arms around me in my development, my success, both professionally, academically, but also personally. Like, yes, I got an incredible education. I learned far more about myself, the woman that God was calling me to be, and the impact that he wanted me to have on this world at my HBCU than I necessarily did tangible book information. And that's not because my HBCU didn't educate me well. That is because I believe that college is about development more so than it is about education. We learn, we're always going to learn, but there's only so much that you can learn in a book. So I went to an HBCU, I had an incredible experience, and I vlogged that experience because it was important to me to show the actual educational and development side of HBCU life, in addition to all of the social activities and the fun, because that was always also really important. Like having good friends, getting to embrace cultural experiences like, Founders Day and homecoming, and getting to do Black History Month in Atlanta with Black people. It's like, for 4 years, every day was Black History Month. That is how I started my journey. I studied business administration. I had a dual concentration in finance and international business. And I started my career in banking, investment banking. That was my track. That's where everybody was trying to push me towards. And it just was not a fit for me. In my kind of educational background in elementary school, I went to a Montessori school in like elementary to middle school. I'm gonna wear my glasses today because it doesn't matter what I do. By the end of the day, my contacts are gonna be dried out, and my little heart just can't take it. It hurts so bad. If you're a contact wearer, you get it. So as I was saying, I went to a Montessori school in elementary school, and we focused on personalized learning. So very early on, I was exposed to educational customization and just personalization, like across all dimensions of life, right? Like the idea of customizing your approach, or the approach that you take to really doing anything in this life to your specific needs, was something that truly revolutionized my life, because up until that point, everything about education, everything about life is about assimilation and you figuring out how to fit yourselves into the parameters and the boxes that have already been set for you.
So when it came to my education, realizing, well, wow, the majority of my life, like the beginning of my life is going to be spent in education. If I can and people tell me this is the most important thing. So if I can customize my approach to education, what else can I customize? And I was always a very sure of myself kid. I was always really confident and not cocky, but like really, really believed in my decision making and like my mind. Like I was very committed to doing what my brain told me to do, and I felt like I had a really good filter at an early age. So it's not like I was out here wilding, but I could confidently say, yes, I want to do this, or no, I don't want to do this, or yes, I'm interested in this, and no, I don't want to do this. And I wouldn't give it any second thought until I got into the world and it felt like what I wanted was so different than what everybody else wanted or what other people were telling me. Now, as an adult, I can look back on that and I know that that was just like my innate being and who God created me to be, because we're right back here now and she eats. She eats. Living this way, living as myself, operating on the operating system that God designed and installed in me before I was even born. Love her down. So I say all that to say, people were trying to keep me on the business banking, investment banking track, which I was pretty good at. And when you're good at something and other people see that you're good at something, it's really easy to fall into that thing, even if it's not aligned with who you're truly being called to be. So I said, no, this is not going to work for me. The hours are not going to work for me. The intensity is not going to work for me. The impact is not going to work for me, because I don't want to just spend the rest of my life making rich people richer in this way. So ultimately I decided to go into consulting, which is basically professional problem solving. And it was one of the best things that I did because I got a lot of experience in a short amount of time. I still worked in the financial services industry, specifically for banks, and payment companies, but it was not finance in the traditional sense. And I learned so much. I'm glad that I got the time to talk to you guys about all of this, because this is the level of transparency and exposure that I think is really important to building community, and that isn't always shared, right? Like information on struggles that people have had and really folks testifying as to what God has done in their life, but like what they were experiencing in real time. Like hindsight is always 2020. So it's really easy to kind of give a synopsis but you jump ahead to like everything's okay. But let me know what you were facing at the times that you thought that everything was not okay, because I might currently be resonating with that, and knowing that you faced the same thing and now you stand here is what I need to get through this. It is what I need to be reminded that God is still and will always be good. And yeah, just more of that. Like more of that. More of show me where you really are. Like, and to the extent that you are comfortable, share what you're feeling and what you're going through, because I might be feeling the same thing, and you sharing that is what I need to get through it. And that's something that I am working to get better at. That is something that I am working to be more forthcoming about, because there have been times in my life where I've been really transparent and really vulnerable, and folks have tried to use that against me, and that made me want to shrink back up. But God is really calling me to expand, okay? Like when I feel prompted to shrink, that is all the more reason to expand, because that means that somebody needs what I have. That means that I need to expand so that I can touch the folks who need it most. And that's on that. So I got a chance to really share my experiences, my journey up until this point. I'm only 26 years old. I say only not to undermine my age. That is not what I'm doing. I am saying only because there is still so much life to live and so much to do. And I am so grateful for God's hand on my life in every experience, and we're only going to get better. Like there is so much more life to live, and I am so grateful for it. And that's why it is so important to me to share this experience and glorify his name, because like everything that I am and everything that I will ever be is because God has allowed it to be so. So yeah, this is the journey. This is the experience. This is what I've been through and how I got into the role that I am currently in. And the role that I'm currently in is shaping me and building me up and molding me for the roles that I will have to come and the work that I will do, and really more so the impact that I will have on this world. So think about that. Think about your daily activities. Think about the ways in which you are spending your time. Think about the words that are coming out of your mouth, right? Ultimately, are you building yourself up? Are you building others up? Are you building the world up? Or are you stifling yourself and being unkind and limiting who it is that you're truly meant to become, right? So I'm really intentional about how I spend my time, how I spend my energy, where I direct my love and attention and devotion. And am I getting those things back? How I'm spending my money, right? Because how I spend my money is a direct reflection of what I value and where my priorities are. And the tea is, it's working. It's working. And I just want to share that with you guys. And I want you guys to get to experience that and actively see what I'm doing. Like, not because you need to do the same thing, but just so that you know it could be done. Just so that you know that there are alternative paths and there are other ways to go about this, that you can work a 9-to-5, quote unquote, but it's not a 9-to-5. It's a career, right? It's a mission, it's a calling, it's a purpose. Like, you are not just working to work. God has you where he has you for a purpose. There is utility. There is impact in what it is that you're doing. And if you feel like there's no longer an opportunity for you to make an impact, if you feel like there's misalignment, then consider moving. Consider going where you need to go in order to be in alignment. But babes, we got stuff to do. We got people to help. We got impacts to make. We have contributions to make. We owe it to God and ourselves to optimize our potential and to live our life on purpose with purpose. The fact of the matter is, if you do not design your life, you will just default to whatever is available for you. You will default to whatever it is that other people want you to have versus what it is that God has actually called you to. And we see that day in and day out. But we will be the exception and not the rule. So we're dressed and we're heading out. So let's go ahead and finish the conversation that we were having. So I started my career in finance, hence FinStyle. I absolutely loved it, but I realized that I wanted to focus more on personal finance than corporate finance and providing financial literacy to those who needed it most. After that, I was working still in finance, but in payments technology specifically, which essentially meant that all of the different ways that we can transfer money, including ACH, which was really the newest way to transfer money at the time, that got ourselves ready for the day. We chit-chatted a little bit, and then it was go time. I had to go ahead and go into our lounge, which is an area that my company had at this event to be able to host our clients, for people to be able to come in and have meetings, to do demos, to see the different tech-enabled solutions that we were offering, and ultimately just chat business. So we went there first thing in the morning to meet up with the speakers that we had for this panel, because remember, I told you we're hosting this panel, but we also have clients who are going to be on this panel with us discussing a particular topic. In this instance, since we were talking about technology trends, there's a major report that we put out every year, and we use that as kind of the basis for this conversation. It was a great, great conversation. Highlights of the conversation were this. Really, the entire conversation could be summed up in this way. In our report, we talk about the idea that AI will one day be as ubiquitous as HTTP or electricity, meaning the way in which you come into the house and you turn on your lights and you don't think about it. You don't think about the fact that there are electrical charges running through circuits down to through your light fixture down to your light bulb to illuminate this light so that you can see in your home. That is the same way that artificial intelligence will one day work in our lives, right? So the concept is that you're not going to walk into your house and have to talk to your Google. I don't want to say her name because she's going to start screaming in the house, but you're not going to have to say, hey, Google, do this thing, and everything. See, look at her. There she go. Thank you. So I might not have to talk to her that directly in order for her to do the thing that I need to do. She's just automatically going to know, hey, Abria just walked into the house, or hey, the garage door just went up. It's time for me to get things moving, right? It's time for these things to happen. AI is just going to be so naturally ingrained and interwoven into everything that we do in our daily activities that we're not going to think about it. So this idea that we're talking about AI explicitly is going to become kind of not our normal day to day, in the same way that nobody's talking about electricity. We're not like, wow, it's so great that the lights turned on. We just expect the lights to turn on. So that was basically the premise of this entire conversation. And we all agreed in this panel, right? Everybody in the room, yes, AI is one day going to become ubiquitous. However, we need the right human beings to help us get the technology to the place where it is ubiquitous. And that is the common thread, that people are always going to be a priority, right? At the end of the day, none of this technology means anything if it is not serving people. The technology is not just here to exist to serve the technology. The technology is here to serve us. It is here to be useful. It is here to serve a purpose and do a job and play a role and streamline processes and innovate medicine and so on and so forth. But it's going to take the right people for us to get there. And in order for businesses and companies to be able to truly optimize the potential of this powerful technology that we have to prioritize the people who are building it and the people who are using it. So our customers and the folks in our organization who are making things happen need to be the priority.
A few minutes out from the panel starting, the room is filling up, and I'm so excited. It's going to be an incredible panel. Again, if you have not read the Tech Trends Report in full, I highly recommend. This is just going to be a taste.
So it was a really incredible conversation. The crowd seemed really, really happy, and we ultimately had standing room only. What? In this event, the panel went so well, and we got really great feedback. And then they used the report in the discussion to basically be the basis for the rest of the programming that day at the summit. So folks could kind of experience some of the things that we were talking about throughout the rest of the programming. And also there was this massive show floor that I took you guys on. You got to see a little bit of that, and my mind was blown. I think that one of my favorite things is, I'm gonna cry. This makes me cry when I think about it. When I think about this incredible world that the Creator created, right? God created this big, wide, expansive world and universe. Like, it's massive. And I often find myself, when I step outside of my home, when I step outside of my bubble and I go out into the world and I travel or I go to these conferences for work, and the magnitude of the spaces that I am is just like so insane, right? Like the scale of these things is so huge. And if you're not careful, that can have a negative impact on you. And now you feel very small in this big space and you feel overwhelmed by it. But I actually don't feel overwhelmed by it. I don't feel negatively overwhelmed. I feel positively overwhelmed. Like it really makes me sit down and just sit in awe of God, that the same God that created this big, wide world with all of these different experiences and nuances and cultural differences and technological advancements is the same God that created me? What? Like that blows my mind every time. So going on the show floor is just like a microcosm of that. I feel it when I travel, like personally. Like I feel it when I'm standing by the ocean and I'm like, oh my gosh. Like the Lord just spoke a word and he created all of this. And in the same way he created me. And he created me and this world for a purpose. He created me to steward well over this world and take care of it and take care of the people in it. So it's such a beautiful thing. So going on the show floor is more to me than just like, wow, this is cool technology. When I get on this show floor every day, day in and day out, when I am working in technology, my priority and the first thing that I think about are the people who are being served by it. None of it means anything to me if I forget about the people. So when I get into these spaces, I get energized by the scale and the magnitude of it and the glory of God that he was able to create something so magnificent, and that he not only did he create this magnificent world, he also created me, which means that I must also be magnificent. And like I'm overwhelmed by that thought and that fact. And I have to remind myself of that in the moments where I feel less than or inferior, or I try to shrink myself. I have to remember who created me and that he created me for such a special and distinct purpose. So I feel that all of these things, when I walk on something like this show floor and I see this technology and this innovation, and I'm just like, wow. Like I'm grateful, and I'm overwhelmingly grateful to get to live this life and experience these experiences and serve God's people in this way. So we finished up the panel and we got to spend some time on the show floor, which was amazing. One of my favorite things that I saw was this autonomous dump truck, and I cannot stop talking about this dump truck because it actually just means so much to me. And this is what I mean when I'm like, talk to people, experience folks, experience and learn about other people's life. Dax is outside screaming, okay? This man is on the balcony screaming because he wants to come inside. So let me get y'all's nephew. Hold, please. That was rude. That was very rude. Take a seat. Sit it down right now. Thank you. I love you. My dad is in real estate, right? He's worked in real estate and construction his entire life. And well, not his entire life, but my entire life. And he loves heavy machinery. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. Like, he loves construction. He loves the idea of building something from nothing. And I actually do too. Again, I think it is just like a beautiful thing. And it is a beautiful opportunity to see God's goodness in this world, because it's like the Creator created us to create. And it blows my mind every single time. So whenever I see heavy machinery, it sparks my heart and it sparks my imagination, and it also feels so nostalgic for me because, like I told you guys in the video, I went to Montessori school growing up, and a huge part of Montessori school is like personalized learning, child-led learning. And one of the things that my dad used to do was he would take me for these kind of like experiential learning days. So he would take me out of school and I would basically go to work with him. But it wasn't just me sitting in an office with him all day and coloring. Instead, it was like him bringing me on project sites and me getting to talk to the agricultural engineers who would teach me about like soil pH levels and like all sort of things, right? Like they talked to me about like the water runoff systems and all the things that go into not just building a building, but like building the infrastructure of the world and the communities that we live in order to be able to like even withstand the weight of a building, for example. So when I see something like heavy machinery, it's not just, oh my gosh, that's a cool tractor. It is a really cool tractor. And that excites me. But even more than that, it reminds me of the people that are going to benefit from this technology, the impact that's going to be made. And then it also just has a special place in my heart because it reminds me of my father, and it reminds me of such a pivotal moment in my life and something that shaped me into the person that is currently standing here today. So one of my favorite things that I saw was this massive, freaking massive tractor, okay? And it is one of the first autonomous tractors. So the tractor can stand alone. It can be driven manually, or it can be driven autonomously, which means that it requires no driver. And this is actually a quarry dump truck. So, you know, it's meant for like, you know, rocky areas, like to clear out big rocks and stuff. So its capacity was insane. It was huge. The scale of it was insane. And it really scratched one of my childhood itches, which is to get to sit in the dump truck. Like I never got to sit in the heavy machinery. I always wanted to sit in a dump truck, and I always wanted to sit in a fire truck. So if anybody out there is a firefighter and they want to take me for a ride in the fire truck, please hit me up because I must do it. Like I must do it before I leave this earth and go home to my Lord and Savior. So please make a girl's wish happen. But the tractor was absolutely incredible. The dump truck was absolutely incredible. Everything else on the show floor was really cool. We saw some cool logistics related stuff. We saw some really awesome autonomous boats, which I thought was super interesting. We got to explore the kind of lifestyle and health floor, which had some different like red light therapy, innovations and things for folks who have issues like carpal tunnel or arthritis. So as you can see, I really enjoy the technology that is like explicitly meeting a need, but I also enjoy the technology that is like enabling another creative solution that's meeting a specific need for people. So it's just, there's so much that goes into everything that we do, like the hardware and the software and all the people that are behind the platforms that allow you guys to watch this video right now. It's just like so mind-blowing and so intricate. And I think that sometimes we take for granted everything that goes into making our lives work. But there is a lot. And there's a lot to be grateful for. And I think that in that there's also a lot of grace that we have the opportunity to extend to people. So the next time that you have a tech issue, or the next time that you're inconvenienced in some way and it seems like this should be an easy fix, just remember that things are really not as simple as they seem. It seems like one click for you because 100 other clicks had to go into you being able to make that one click. So be patient, be kind, be graceful. It is the least that we can do. All right, so we spent some time on the show floor. We made our way through automotive to the best of our ability. And now we are headed over to the female quotient for our next panel. Let's do it. After the show floor, I headed back to my room for a little bit, which was really nice. I honestly just needed a second to decompress. As much as I can sit here and I can run and I can talk to y'all, I often hit a wall. And I've learned to become really respectful of my walls and my limitations, and also try to be proactive about giving myself rest in the midst of experiences like this, because by God's grace, much more of my life looks like this these days, which means that there is less time sometimes for just like natural downtime. I have to manufacture that downtime. My downtime does not mean that I'm down because there's nothing else to do. It means that I'm having downtime because I chose that this is the most important thing for me to be doing right now. So I went back to my room. I took a minute, took a break, drank some water, had some emergency, which probably held your girl down. I ended up getting sick. I'm just getting over being sick, but I believe that it probably could have been worse than it was. So shout out to the emergency and the element holding me down. And we got to chat a little bit more about my work experience and how I kind of ended up where I am currently. We also got to chat a little bit about kind of where I want to go and how I want to be of service and support you all, and also some of the things that have held me back in the past, and my own limiting beliefs that have tried to deter me from God's purpose and destiny for my life. But no more, babes. Like, we out. And we're not looking back. Y'all. So it is later in the day, actually quite later. I ended up having time to come back to my room before my dinner reservation, which was so nice because I got a second to just sit still for a second and be silent, which was much needed. I know that in the video, hold please. I know in the video, I was literally just talking to you all, but it is literally like 8 hours later. Actually more than 8 hours later. It's almost like 12 hours later from when I was talking to you all this morning, because it was like 7 o'clock in the morning. When I was talking to you a little earlier, it is now about 7 o'clock in the evening, and I am about to head out to a dinner reservation. But I wanted to let you know that the day went absolutely amazing. We had a really, really great turnout at our panel and all of that fun stuff. But let's finish up the conversation that we were just having, and then I'll rewind and tell you guys a little bit about today. But I want to finish that conversation so that everything that I'm going to show you about my work today makes sense to you. So let's hop back into it. So what I was saying before I got on the elevator, I actually want to make a point. I was talking to you guys about being fearless and the idea of fear and how fear has historically tried to plague me, and what I feel like is fear trying to delay my destiny and stop me from being the woman that God has called me to be. I was talking to you guys about how I feel like fear has historically plagued me. And I was really proud of myself because where the video just cut off, I was getting on the elevator. And I stopped vlogging, not out of a spirit of fear, but out of a spirit of respect. I like to be really, really mindful when I am filming in public, specifically in like closed environments like that, something like an elevator, that I am not invading anyone's privacy or making anyone uncomfortable. But there used to be a time where if someone saw me talking to my camera in public or doing anything that is kind of quote unquote stereotypically quote unquote cringy, I would have felt really, really uncomfortable, and I would have been deterred by that. Not deterred enough to stop. I kind of find myself in this constant battle between like my actual like innate being and who I am, and then my conditioning, right? So I feel like naturally I am not a wallflower. I'm not somebody who feels the need to kind of like float into the background. But I do feel like because the way that I am is the way that I am, I've experienced people trying to beat it out of me a lot in my life. And it's not that I necessarily like it. It's not that I like shrinking or that I like being less of myself or that I felt like there was something wrong with me per se, but I just got so tired of fighting. I got exhausted. And I think the enemy knew that, right? He knew if I can't stop her from being who she actually is, I'm gonna make her so tired of fighting against the current that she'll just start to pull back on it. And I'm onto him. So no more of that. I've had a lot of time to get my wind back. I've had a lot of time to build myself up and fortify my heart and my mind. And we in here. So
I just wanted to call that out. That was like a major milestone moment for me, and it felt really, really good. And I wanted to share that with you all because I really want to be more open and transparent and share my feelings and share my experiences and share my lived experiences, because if they can help somebody, that is all that I need. Like when I started all of this, when I started FinStyle, when I started Abria Perry, when I started all of these endeavors, I literally said to my dad, Daddy, if I can help one person, that will be enough. Like if me doing this, if me making myself uncomfortable, if me sharing pieces of myself in my life helps one person to make better decisions or to find alignment with God's purpose for their life, that is enough for me. And this was 17, 18-year-old Abria speaking, and now almost 27 Abria feels the same. And it took me almost a decade to get to the point where I truly, truly understood what that meant and understood that that was always going to be evolving. But anyway, here we are. So as y'all can see, I got a lot to say, all right? And I'm going to say it. Okay? 2025 is the year. I have a lot to say, and I am going to say it, and I'm not going to second guess it, because everything that is on my heart was placed there by the Creator for a purpose. Bow. All right, so let's run it back. I started my career in finance, specifically payments. What that means is all the different ways that we can transfer money and the technology that enables us to actually do that. That is what I focused on. So I was working in finance, specifically working in financial payments and fintech, so financial technology or technology in finance, right? That is what I was focused on. And I liked the finance, but again, it wasn't exactly what I wanted to be doing or what I felt like was directly aligned with where I was supposed to go. But I loved the technology. I loved the technology. And I loved the idea of creating tech-enabled solutions that made people's lives better, that made people's lives easier, that increased efficiency, and that also helped people to see blind spots, that helped people to see areas where they needed to be improving or developing. I love the idea of kind of proactive technology versus reactive technology. And I also loved creative solutioning. So just creative problem solving, right? In solutions that were sustainable and could grow with people. And a lot of that, I've adapted and adopted a lot of that thought process to FinStyle. So in our programming and the work what we do with women to help them design a life that they love and live their life on purpose, and also use their finances as fuel for that life, a lot of my professional background is embedded in that, because that is truly how my brain works. So when I realized that I loved technology more broadly, and I still always had this passion for creativity, I took art all throughout school. I've always been hyper creative. I've always loved videography and photography, drawing, anything that allows me to truly express myself and communicate the thoughts and the feelings that I have to others has always been super exciting to me. So I came across a job opportunity that literally blended everything together, and I cannot explain it as anything more than a God-ordained opportunity. God saw the way that I saw and knew and designed me to never be somebody who could just be in one lane. The idea of being one thing has never been appealing to me. It's never been something that sat right in my soul, and it has made other people uncomfortable my entire life. And I feel like I'm finally at a point where, because I have fully embraced it, everybody else has no choice but to. And now it works to my advantage. So in my current role, I sit at the intersection of tech strategy and marketing, right? So kind of tech strategy and what we call brand and positioning, meaning all of the strategic tech work that my company does, all of the creative solutions that we provide, tech-enabled creative solutions to some of the world's biggest problems. I get to focus on how do we package that up and get it into the right hands? How do we go to market with this? What does it look like for us to get our research out? What does it look like to ensure that the great solutions that we have are in the hands of the people who have the biggest problems? And
this is exactly where I am meant to be right now. So currently, that is why we're here. That is what we are doing in Vegas. And the fact that I literally hit the ground running the first full week of the new year, the first Monday of the new year, I hopped on a plane and came to Vegas to do this event with my team. I think is just a glimpse, a glimmer of the future that God has for me. The idea that I get to be really intentionally aligned, really purposefully aligned, and do impactful work that doesn't require me to run myself into the ground or sacrifice pieces of myself is truly one of the sweetest gifts that God ever gave me. And He really completely dismantled the rhetoric that is fed to us from a business perspective, from a worldly perspective, the idea that you have to grind, and everything that you get is by your own strength. You have to literally chip away at pieces of yourself to realize your full potential is just false. Completely false, because I am living proof that you can be multiple things. I am living proof that every piece of you is contributing to the impact that you are made to make on this world. So I am grateful and I am excited. And today was a wonderful day, and I'm going to go and I'm going to have dinner with my team, and I'm not going to overthink, and I'm not going to shrink myself even when the enemy tries to prompt me to do so. Because exactly who you are is exactly who you were meant to be. And you are always in the perfect place at the perfect time, doing the perfect thing. And I truly, truly believe that. So let's go to dinner, and then a little later we will sit down and catch up on everything that happened today. I want to give you guys kind of a deep dive of everything that you're seeing, and kind of explain to you a little bit more in depth the work that we've been doing, as well as some of the really cool and innovative products that are being showcased at this particular event. So let's go to dinner. So we chatted a little bit about all of those things, and then I headed back out to go to dinner with my team, which I actually didn't record. Again, I think I talked to you guys a little bit about privacy in this video, like folks on the elevator and all of that. But outside of privacy, I really like to strike a healthy balance of like living my life and also being able to expose you all to different perspectives, because I appreciate the fact that folks sacrifice and let me into their lives. So I think that it's the least that I can do for somebody else if it's going to be helpful, and because I feel called to it. But, in certain experiences, I was at a dinner with my team. We had some new team members that I just got to meet. So I did not film that portion, but dinner was absolutely lovely. One of my favorite things about the culture of my work is that whenever we have team dinners, or even sometimes when we have client dinners as well, we tend to do things family style. And I think that this is yet another opportunity to just get to embrace newness and trying new things, and just the natural learning and development that comes out of being in proximity and being in community with other people. So one of my favorite things is the fact that we often do family style meals, and somebody on our team who maybe booked the dinner, or just somebody at the dinner, will decide to go ahead and take the lead on ordering. And I have tried so many new things as a result of this. Like, there are so many foods that I now like that are the result of me trying them at a team dinner, where somebody just ordered it and I just said, you know what, I'm gonna give it a try. So unless there's something that I'm allergic to or that I have like an adverse effect to when I eat it, I tend to try a little bit of everything at these dinners, and it's always a great time. So in addition to just getting to really enjoy my team and be in community and get to know each other, I also tend to get exposed to new food, and I always learn something. Like, we always talk about something at these dinners that is like, I had no idea it ever existed. I mean, my travel bucket list is about 100 feet long at this point, because the folks in my team are always going on cool trips, always doing cool explorations. We got somebody on my team, we have several people on my team who are certified like scuba divers, and we have folks that snowboard and just people that do all types of cool stuff. We have somebody on my team that does woodworking and creates like these magnificent, incredible handmade pieces. So I am just grateful for diversity, and I am grateful for diversity of thought and interest and callings and the beauty that is life in human beings.
Good morning. It is bright and early on Wednesday morning, and we are heading over to the convention center for our first assignment of the day, which is content capture over in the convention center. I'm going to be chatting with our Chief Technology Officer about the evolving role of the CTO. So let's go do that.
All right, so we just checked into the studio. The team is capturing a couple other things. So I'm gonna run to the restroom, get myself together. We'll go back in, get mic'd up, and then we will record this last piece of content before we go check out the show floor for the rest of the day. Next morning, we were up bright and early because God is so kind, and He is slowly but surely reminding me to not box myself in. And also what I told you guys earlier, which is that you're going to be many things in this life, and it is the summation of them all that makes you the wonderful human being that you are, so you don't have to feel this pressure to compartmentalize. Typically, I tend to be on the back end of the camera when it comes to work stuff. We do a lot of content capture, we do a lot of PR interviews, we do a lot of all the things, right? A lot of camera facing work, and oftentimes I'm on the backside of the camera directing and providing strategy and input or writing the scripts or what have you. But I am slowly but surely getting in front of the camera more myself, and sharing that side of myself, sharing some of the things that I do outside of my full-time work and my skills across life. Just like my all of my gifts and my skills are really working. And it's like, it just blows my mind. It just blows my mind. Like, the Lord is just so kind. And it's just like, wow. Like, wow. Like, when I was younger, when I first got into school, they told me that I was like hyper creative. Like, it was like, you have too many ideas, right? Like, no, you're trying to think outside of the box too much. You need to stay within these parameters. And that was so restricting and constraining and suffocating to me. And I spent a lot of my early years having to learn how to adapt and fit into the parameters that other people have created for me. I spent my mid years kind of bursting out of those things, but still kind of having one foot in the door, because now there were new parameters. It was college. It was the beginning of my career. It was learning how to do things how other people wanted it to be done. And now I feel like I am finally at a place where all parts of my brain and all parts of my being get to live together in perfect harmony. And we talked a little bit about that in this video. And I'm grateful for people that see that in you, and people that see all pieces of you and they encourage it and they give you opportunities to thrive in it, like this opportunity to interview our Chief Technology Officer. We got to sit down and have a really great conversation about the evolving role of the Chief Technology Officer, and what does it actually mean in this day and age to be a CTO? What should it mean to be a CTO, and how do people need to evolve in this role in order to meet the needs of the market and meet the needs of the people that we serve, and also meet the needs of the people that are doing the work day in and day out for them within their organizations. So it was an incredible conversation. He's a freaking amazing human being. Like, he is so overwhelmingly kind, and it's always a privilege and a pleasure to just get to sit down and interact with him and chat with him. Great leadership is a blessing. I will say that. And I have learned so much from my team and from the work that I'm currently doing about what it means to be a strong leader and what it is and what it isn't. And I'm grateful. And I'm grateful for how it is changing and shaping me each and every day. So that is what we did. We sat down, we had that conversation. It was so good. We ended up having to do a bit more content capture at that time. And then I spent a little bit of time doing some work, catching up on some things, and also working within that suite that I mentioned to you guys that we had, which is where clients and folks were meeting. So there was some time for me to work in there to interact with some of the clients that were coming in, interact with other people, from my company who aren't necessarily on my team, but that I do tend to work with often. So we all got to collaborate and chat a little bit. And then we headed back over to the show floor for a bit, which was also really, really nice. I had a couple of other interviews to record. We had some PR conversations that needed to occur. And we also spent some time doing a walk and talk interview between our chief technology officer and one of my team members who is a futurist. He is so freaking cool, loves AI. He's just like a great person and brilliant. And I love to hear him talk. Like, I just love to hear him freaking ideate. And the two of them together always have great conversation. So we sat down. Well, actually, we did not sit down. It was a walk and talk on the show floor. So we walked throughout the show floor and they kind of just chopped it up about what they were seeing, the trends that were showing up. What do these trends actually mean? How should companies be thinking about what they're seeing on the show floor and operationalizing on it in a way that is actually meaningful and impactful? And that was absolutely beautiful. It was such a good time. And then we had another panel to head to. So we actually had two panels at the female quotient. One that was a female member of our team, and then one that was our chief technology officer as well. So he had another panel, and both of those were great. One was on networking and just what does it mean to like network as a woman, networking, mentorship, community building, which was really, really interesting. And the Female Quotient is a wonderful organization if you guys are not familiar with them. But they're really just trying to build equality for women within this world in corporate spaces. They have a ton of corporate partners, and they tend to be at, a lot of the major events that happen, around the country and around the world. And the team is wonderful. I've gotten to work with them for the last couple of years, and they are always just really, really great to work with. And they always put on fabulous events and have fabulous conversations that are so necessary. They're so necessary. That's what I'll say. Like, yeah, the conversations need to be had. So that was that. We had another dinner that evening with our broader CES team from my company. So everybody that was basically there from a kind of brand and strategy perspective putting on the event. We all got to meet up that evening and just sit down, break bread, chop it up, kiki. And it was a good time, and talk about our experience, talk about what we've seen, talk about what we want to do next year. It was so good. And it just felt right, and it felt incredible, and everything flowed and everything worked out, and we didn't have any fire drills. And it's just like always so nice to see something that you've worked on come to life and like become everything that it was meant to be and more, really, because it's like we never fully understand or can comprehend the ways in which God wants to bless us. And I got to meet so many great people. I met some folks that were not even specific to my company, and got to just build some new relationships and meet some new incredible women, meet some incredible new Black women as well, which is always a blessing. It is always a beautiful, beautiful thing to meet folks who you share commonalities with or who you identify with in some way. And it's a beautiful thing when you're in these spaces that can feel so massive and overwhelming. And like we said, you feel prompted to shrink and you feel small. And then you see a familiar face, or you see somebody that you connect with in some way. And it just feels like a warm hug and a reminder again of God's goodness, and that he is always present and he is always there, and he is always looking to support you and to love you and to carry you through. So it was a wonderful, wonderful event. And I'm so glad that I could bring you guys along with me. If you have any questions, if there's anything that you want to know, feel free to ask. I can't promise that I'll answer because, I get to decide what's right for me. But if I'm comfortable answering the questions, I will answer them. And if I don't, I will politely decline. But the worst you could do is ask. Like, you know what I mean? Like, at least ask. Not the worst you could do, but you could at least ask. And I will answer if I feel comfortable. But feel free to ask me any questions. If I don't have the answer, I'll try to find it for you. So that's that. That is that. That's the end of this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I love you so much. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Hit me up on Instagram. Everything is at Abria Perry. And my business page is at FinStyle. At FinStyle Official. Everything will be linked down below in the description box. I'm just happy to be here with you. I'm happy to have gotten to chat with you. I am overwhelmingly grateful to get to live this life and to get to share this life with you. And we're just taking one step at a time to design a life we absolutely love. That's it. That's all. I love you guys so very much. Have the best rest of your day, and we'll chat soon. Bye.